grieving and loving. I've given this a great deal of attention, actually, for myself in the last, 10 years of my life, I guess. And now, faced with you, honestly, I'm a little lost for words. So if you'll give me a moment to listen. And perhaps actually, we could all just take a moment to listen again. To listen in the sense of listening inside. And feeling towards what it is that you are doing here, what it is that's called you here. Which might be a very personal grief for you, connected to people or dreams that you have loved and either are losing or have lost. Or it might be some sense of the grief of someone you're close to, and that you have it in you to grieve a little for them. Or it might be what's happening around the world. And that you have it in you to grieve a little for our world as you experience it or see it or understand it. Which surely is going through some kind of dying process. In the sense of, at least, breakdown. So if you take a deep breath into all of that, let it out. The only thing that separates grieving from loving is a time. The time changes and some kind of death or loss comes, and then the loving that we were engaged in becomes grieving. And whatever loving we're engaged in right now that's still loving, in a sense, hasn't become grieving yet, but it will before too long. All of it, all of the loving is going to become grieving. And through the grieving, it's through the grieving that our pain opens us up to release whatever stuck shapes there were and make us fertile ground for more loving. That's the way I understand grieving to be. And that it's not just sorrow, that there's often a rage involved in the grieving process. Often we're fucking furious. I know I've had many waves of utterly furious with what's happening in the Middle East right now. And rightly so. Yeah. We're supposed to feel outraged when something isn't right. when something that's happening isn't right in our perception. We're meant to feel angry when something isn't right. That force is there to make things better. And we're meant to sorrow when we lose what we love. And those two experiences of fury or anger and sorrow are so difficult and so catalytic. They change us so deeply, and they line us up for such serious consequences in terms of our internal world and our relationship with the external world, that they're scary. Of course it's scary to feel so intensely. Of course it's scary to feel deep pain and sorrow for our losses. Of course that's frightening, because it hurts so much, and it changes us. To open to that hurt and sorrow changes us very deeply. So of course it's scary. We're scared of change. And it's scary to be angry, because if we actually allowed ourselves to let our righteous fury take action in the world and do something, we would be faced with, firstly, the consequences from everybody we impact, and secondly, our own shadow. As soon as we take action, we get to see our own unconsciousness. And both of those things are scary. So in this process of grieving, which involves our rage and our sorrow and our pain, of course, we're afraid. And so that kind of triple whammy, as we say in English, the triple difficult stuff of fear and anger and sorrow, those three things together are difficult. That's a difficult process to engage with. And that's what grieving asks for, as I understand it. And it's really personal, and it's really different from moment to moment. And you never know what way it's going to come to you next. Not in tomorrow, but like literally the next minute. And it's not only the process of grieving, I would say, is not only being willing to feel that stuff, but it's being willing to feel the almost unbearable lightness of being. As was it Mila Kundera, whatever his name was, who wrote that book, incredible phrase, the unbearable lightness of being. There's that extraordinary love that is such a blessing that we open to when we grieve. To feel just how much we love life is really something. And none of these things are small. And yet all I've been speaking to so far is the art of feeling, being willing to feel and to be moved by our feelings. But as I understand it, and I really understood that a lot more in the last 3 weeks since my mum died, and which I didn't know was going to happen when I first planned this. I had this date in about 2 months ago, and then my mum died, and so I understood a whole lot more, as you can imagine. And I've really felt what a vital part of grieving is to do things in the world, whether seen or unseen, whether directly with other people or just with trees or just with the divine, some way of blessing, of giving blessings, of putting that love into action, whether it's things you say or little works of art you create, or just placing a leaf tenderly in a certain place in your home, like lighting a candle with some intention, all those kinds of things. The art of blessing from our love, which is our grief, the same thing. It's not just about feeling, it's about being willing to be moved and take part in life, in the world, and that the grief lends strength to our ability to do that in a more beautiful way, in a way that is more in tune with what's going on around us. so that our actions are a deeper blessing. And perhaps this is one of the things about getting older, is that we can get better at that. And that the more we're willing to be hurt by the pain that we see going on around us and the personal pain that we have to go through, the better we can become at it. And so let's offer up a little space for ourselves to practice both the art of feeling and the art of blessing from that feeling. And so dance is a great way to do that. We're always practicing that, really, when we dance. Or perhaps we're practicing three things. Firstly, the one that I missed out, the willingness to just be with what you're experiencing. So kind of coming home, coming inside to whatever's going on in your body. And then the second, being willing to feel and give expression to those feelings through your dance or through your voice and through your voice. And then thirdly, to understand and experience that art of dance as a practice for being in the world. That it's not just that your dance is not just about you and your little enlightenment project, your little personal emancipation project or healing project, but that it's a practice for moving with some grace in the world and some generosity and being an artist in the way that you walk down the street or go shopping or go to work or love your children, right? All of that. So the dance is a practice for all of these things, for coming home into your body, for being willing to go with your feelings and give expression to them, turn them into something beautiful, and to know that you are practicing for real life out there where you're engaged in the world. And then the last thing I'll say is, any way that I'm encouraging you to move, if it's not right for you, be different. Maybe you spent the whole time huddled on the floor, just holding on to yourself. Maybe you spend the whole time jumping up and down and screaming. It's okay. Trust your body. Trust your body. Listen to what's wanting to come through you. And if you can't feel what's wanting to come through you, move your body on purpose and open your body to your breath, because that will help you get in touch with whatever it is that's wanting to come through you. Okay? In we go.